Joining us now, someone else trying to help win those seats, the former Democratic presidential candidate, Andrew Yang. He's also a CNN political commentator. Andrew, it's great to see you. So you're in New York today, but you're about to go to Georgia. You're about to go camp out here. Talk about your view of the challenge ahead. You know the history. Democrats do miserable in statewide runoffs in Georgia. That's the history in the rearview mirror. Why do you think it can be different now?
Georgia in 2020 is a genuine swing state. We just saw it. It went to Joe at the top line. We have a lot of work ahead to try and animate the same voters who came out in November to come out in January. But the path to victory is there for Democrats. And the stakes are so high because we've seen the movie where Mitch McConnell gets to play obstructionist in the Senate. We can't have that when the nation's recovery is at stake. So thrilled to get down there, but not going to dissemble. You have to look at the state's history and think that Democrats just have to do a lot of work in the days ahead. Every moment counts.
I need one of those hats over your shoulder there. I use that term a lot at the Magic Wall over the last couple of weeks. I need a math hat.
The marathon man.
Andrew, I want to get back to Georgia in 1 second, but I do want to ask about the importance of what we just saw. You come from the business community. The President of the United States, the incumbent, just denies reality, denies an election. There you have the CEO of General Motors, an iconic American company, the CEO of Target, who has actually been at the White House for events recently during the Trump presidency in terms of getting the economy going during the pandemic, the CEO of Gap. The CEO of Microsoft. That is a signal from corporate America, the business community, and no disrespect for those labor unions. They're just more traditionally Democratic, so you would expect them to show up if Joe Biden asked them to come to a meeting. It is a signal from America, labor unions, corporate America, to President Trump. Get over it. Let's work with the new guy, like him or not.
I agree, and these CEOs know that, again, there's no time to waste in terms of the nation's economic recovery, and they want to get down to business. They want to talk to the president-elect. They certainly aren't going to stand aside and wait for these theatrics to subside because they know that their businesses and the American economy don't have that time to spare.
So let's come back to the Georgia race, because you know the playbook the Republicans are using, and they think it will work. They think it worked in some places in this past election, and they believe it will work in Georgia, which you mentioned. Yes, it's a swing state right now, but it has a Republican pedigree. This is Kelly Loeffler tweeting about her opponent, Pastor Warnock. We should cover pre-existing conditions. We should lower health care costs. We should not socialize medicine, and I will never let that happen. That's Kelly Loeffler. And listen here, this is an exchange between Senator Purdue and John Ossoff in the other race where the same themes come up.
We heard Schumer just last week say that if we take Georgia, we change America. We heard AOC say they have to have these two seats because they don't want to negotiate. They want total control.
This race is not about me, and Chuck Schumer's name certainly isn't on the ballot. I'll tell you what's on the ballot. Health care is on the ballot.
You can see the Republican playbook, and again, it has some success. AOC, Schumer, socialism. How do Democrats counter that? What do they need to do?
They need to do what worked in November, and the Republican Party is nationalizing this race very quickly. You had a couple senators already in Georgia campaigning. The Republicans are sending 1,000 field operatives to help get out their vote. They've already committed $32 million, and I'm sure it's going to go much, much higher than that. So I'm heading to Georgia in part to animate voters on the ground. 4.7% of Georgia voters are Asian Americans. I might be able to help increase the turnout, and Asian Americans went 2-1 for Joe. So that's going to be the game plan for Democrats, is to get our voters out. And it's going to be a lot of work. The Republicans are already, though, descending on the state, and we should be doing the same.
And I want you to listen here. This is a new ad from John Ossoff, the Democratic candidate running against Senator Purdue. And it's a test, right? Joe Biden is winning Georgia, but just barely. President Trump had a lot of voters and they turned out, but he's deciding to take the risk and take it straight on.
In terms of cases, it's very, very few.
Very, very few people have been exposed to it.
The risk to the American people remains very low.
The risk of this virus still remains low.
We've had flus before.
We've had ordinary flu seasons with more deaths.
It's going very well.
It's going very well.
David Purdue ignored the medical experts, downplayed the crisis, and left us unprepared.
It's a creative ad that essentially tries to Velcro the senator to the president. Do you think COVID, the coronavirus, the president's response to it is still the best message as we carry over into 2021?
Unfortunately, infection rates are surging, and they're going up in Georgia as well as other states. And Senator Purdue was very much a Trump loyalist when it came to coronavirus messaging. So it's a very legitimate line of attack for John Ossoff because it does draw a very sharp contrast. And it's not even just Trump's messaging. It really was something that was embraced by Senator Purdue.
Andrew Yang, grateful for your time today, and we'll keep in touch as you go down and hit the campaign trail in Georgia and see how that works out. It's going to be fascinating as we do.
I'll be down there this week. Maybe I can even talk to voters. I can be a correspondent.
We'll give you a microphone. Have a great trip down there.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.